The president's departure is at 2:25, and
Yeah.
so if people want to leave, they need to leave now?
If people want to leave, they should leave now. We'll proceed.
Jake is not one of those
Jake,
people.
if people are going to the departure from the president, you should depart now. But Jake,
Do you think that Russia?
Thank you. Sorry, I'm just going to give people a moment to, I guess, if they have to. The president will not be putting the lives of our men and women in uniform at risk by sending them into a war zone to rescue people who could have left now but chose not to. So we are asking people to make the responsible choice.
This is now the second evacuation of Americans in the course
It's not actually an evacuation, to be clear. American citizens can depart Ukraine. There are means of departing incredibly different.
Correct. You are correct in that. But it's the second time we've urged American citizens to get out of the country.
Actually, we've urged American citizens to depart a number of times, and that is. Well, I think this, but let me finish here because I think it's important for people to understand. We urged American citizens to depart Kazakhstan. We urged American citizens to depart Ethiopia.
These are the two major events that have happened under this administration. And what does
I would say the people in Ethiopia would differ with that, as would the people in Kazakhstan.
The president has frequently talked about getting out of Afghanistan as a major event. It has impacted his polling. This is a current event that is underway. The question is, what does the administration say to critics who are looking at these two events and questioning this administration's foreign policy approach?
Who is questioning us? Give me
Plenty of Republicans.
Like who?
I could name off any number of Republicans.
I'd love to know a name.
Goodness. Mitch McConnell.
Okay. Well, here's what I would say to Mr. McConnell. The president ended a 20-year war in Afghanistan. He was the first president to do that after many of his predecessors failed to take exactly that step. We knew it would be complicated. We knew it would be challenging.
Do you have a picture of how many Americans right now are in Ukraine?
I would refer you to the State Department for the specifics on this because I don't want to do it off the top of my head. There's basically two categories. There are those who have registered with the embassy and those who have not registered with the embassy.
NBC interview, the president said he rejected the findings of the after-action report about the State Department and military response to Afghanistan.
And there was no way we were ever going to unite Ukraine. I mean, excuse me, Iraq, Afghanistan. No way that was going to happen.
Are you rejecting the conclusions or the accounts that are in this Army report?
Yes, I am.
So they're not true?
I'm rejecting them.
What the president was rejecting is the notion that there weren't a range of preparations done in advance. He came into office without any plan. Well, there was a deadline, but without any plan for departure or for helping the Afghans who had served by our side for 20 years. We put in place, and this is in these same documents, beginning last spring, a range of contingency plans should we need to bring American citizens out. And in every single meeting last August, the president asked the team, and often ended the meeting with this, is there anything you need to implement what your plans are? Is there anything you need on the ground? He always ended with that. I'd also note that he always raised the question of whether we needed to evacuate our embassy. So reporting that suggests otherwise is incorrect.
And does the president still view the idea of pre-invasion sanctions as a stupid question?
Force our presence along the eastern flank.
Sanctions part, though, Jake. What about the pre-invasion sanctions? You didn't answer that part of my question. Is the president looking at sanctions ahead of an invasion any differently than he has been up until this point, given the escalation that we're seeing from Russia?
The president believes that sanctions are intended to deter. And in order for them to work to deter, they have to be set up in a way where if Putin moves, then the costs are imposed. We believe that that is the right logic.
The president has said the administration is going to continue to be all hands on deck to try and bring prices back down. Can you give us a sense of what that really looks like? Because you've pointed many times to parts of the Build Back Better agenda. That remains stalled. In fact, one of Senator Manchin's big objections to the bill was the high rate of inflation. So if the Build Back Better plan sort of remains at this impasse, what's plan B to try and bring down some of these costs?
Well, there's a couple steps that the president is very focused on as it relates to addressing addressing inflation. One, I would note that economists in the Federal Reserve still predict that inflation will come down, will moderate over the course of the year. So you referenced the Build Back Better plan. First, we believe there's a path forward, and the president's going to continue to fight for it.
Jen, what does the White House make of the reporting that former President Trump is still in touch with Kim Jong-un?
Well, former President Trump is not the president, and President Biden is the president, and he is the one who conducts diplomacy on behalf of
President Biden voted repeatedly as a senator to make it harder for student loan borrowers to erase their debts through bankruptcy like other secured debt, such as credit cards. 2 years ago, as a presidential campaign, he campaigned on overhauling the bankruptcy law to ease student debt, in addition to his pledge to forgive $10,000 per student in federal student loans. Why hasn't he acted to this point on the bankruptcy law in addition to the pledge on debt forgiveness?
The president has forgiven $15 billion in student loans, benefiting more than 675,000 student loan borrowers since he took office. No one has been required to pay a single dime in federal student loans, and he extended the hiatus of payment until May to give people